If we proceed further, the next model is the pool, store and sell model. Now, the earlier model of pool and sell did not really work for something like lentils, because in lentils the price really goes up post harvest. The just simple pool and sell model would work for something like groundnut, where the commodity prices are going up and down and there is too much of risk in storing the produce and trying to sell it a few months later, because instead of the price going up, it may actually go down. So, commodities that are highly volatile in the sense of prices going both up and down post harvest are best managed initially in the pool and sell model. Now we come to something like lentils, soya bean, etc., which are grown in large quantities by the poor in India, where the prices typically show a very huge increase post harvest, somewhere between 30% to 75% increase in prices. And if you look at the net income, it is not only doubling but might be actually tripling, because the margins, if you go back to the original model, the cost is 70, the harvest price is 100. If the post harvest price goes up to 150, a 50% increase, then the net value for each farmer is between 150 and 70, that is 80 rupees versus 170, which is 30 rupees. So, instead of 30 rupees, he is getting 80 rupees. So, his income is more than doubling, in fact almost tripling. So, this is the simple pool. Which products do we advise you to get into that? Again, the promoter's job is to look at the particular crop in that region and look at the prices. And at the risk of generalization, one can say that if the crop is a single harvest crop, one season crop, no two crops per year, then this model would work, because typically the prices would rise post harvest, and as explained earlier, this happens for lentils and soya bean. So, the main advantage of this model is the huge upside or increase in price that the farmers can get. But there are some challenges. If you think about it, there are 3 or 4 major challenges in operating this model. The first is that you need storage. So, if you have to, the cooperative has to bring in the produce and wait for the price to go up 2 or 3 months later, you need storage space. If you can hire it locally, wonderful. If you can't, then you have a real problem. You may need to get funds to build a warehouse or a godown so that the produce can be stored there, and it is very important that the godown should be built to modern hygiene and food standards, and the practices are maintained so that the harvest does not go bad. Typically, the 2 major problems are insects and rodents. So, we have to protect them from insects and rodents, and this is well known technology and it can easily be done. So, the first challenge is you need storage. The second challenge is working capital. So, if you take a typical member, a small farmer, if you tell him that your produce is very good, today it is November, the price is going to go up by March, so please leave the produce here, we will sell it in November and then give you the profits, he is going to back off. No farmer, no small farmer is going to wait that long, 3 to 4 months for realizing the value of his harvest. There are several reasons. One, there is a risk. In the initial stages, certainly there is a risk. Second, prior to the harvest, he has undergone a whole series of expenses. Right from sowing till harvest, it's only expenses. Seed, fertilizer, pesticide, farm machinery if any, labor, all these things cost. And if you ask him, well, you spent money for 4 or 6 months, now you please wait for another 3 months, that's too much for a small farmer. So, therefore, you need to organize working capital. This is a bit of a challenge for many of the promoters. While there are many schemes available for providing working capital to the farmer producer organizations, typically the interest rates are high, and on a thin margin business with a bit of a risk involved, it's a bit of a challenge. So the working capital has to be arranged. And then of course there is the usual business risk of the price. So one of the typical challenges in this model that people face is that, well, the price went up. Do I sell today? Is it going to go up further? Is it going to go down? So there are all kinds of sophisticated mathematical models for hedging and so on, and futures and options. But at the village level, we need to simplify this so that this can be operated by the farmers themselves. So simple strategy, just as an example, is that you set for yourself some goal that I want a 20% increase in price. So you have 1000 kilos, the price is 100. So the cooperative, the farmers' total value is 1000 into 100, which is 100,000 or 1 lakh rupees. So you want a 20% increase. So you would like the net value to be 1,20,000. So if the price goes up to something like 130, 140, you should be able to sell it. Net of cost, you will make that. And if you really want to speculate, you can sell just enough. So out of 1000 kilos, maybe you just sell 800 and you've booked your profit. You have ensured that you get a minimum 20%. After that, you can speculate because you have completely hedged yourself. You've already cashed in on the 20% because the price has gone up. After that, even if the price goes to zero, you've still got 20%. But there's a good chance that the price may go up. So that's the pool, store and sell model. To summarize, it requires storage, it requires working capital, it requires financial management, it requires some skill in managing commodity trading, and most important, it requires the promoter to ensure that there is skin in the game for each member of the cooperative without, of course, hurting the interests of the poorest of the poor.